Hello, this is Matt from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Here are the tools that were needed for this repair. We used the drill. You could also just use a standard Phillips screwdriver, stubby Phillips screwdriver, and a flathead screwdriver to pop all the tabs. Alright, well, what we have here is a Whirlpool Cabrio washer. And the problem that we have is it will not start. So when you power it up, powers up, you can select all your cycles. But when you go to hit your start button, nothing happens. When you cancel it out, every other button, you can kind of press it and you get a click to where the start button, you're not feeling it making any contact. So we're assuming that the user interface is going to be bad. Start button is one of the more common buttons that you're going to press, so it is more likely to wear out than, you know, some of your other buttons. So we're going to go ahead and get some access to the user interface, see if we can't physically see damage. On the back side, you have there's 3 Phillips screws or 1/4 inch that have to be removed. And then the console sort of flip forward just like that. And you've got one connector here. We'll go ahead and unplug the unit. You've got one connector here on your main control or your motor control that you're going to disconnect, and that gets us access. And then that's going to be our user interface board right here. What we're going to do is we've got 3 Phillips screws here for the cover to the user interface. Some little locking tabs there and there. Trying to stick a flathead screwdriver in. That's going to peel the cover back. There's your locking tabs. Alright, and then along the bottom here, there's locking tabs. So we're going to have to remove the knob here on the front side. It just slides right off. Alright, I'm just going to want to stick like a towel down so that you're not going to scratch the top when you're moving this around, or just work on a different table. And you've got 3 tabs along the front side here where you just have to gently pry on the board to release it. And then it sort of pops out. Okay, so once you have it off, your start button's right here, which is going to correspond with this button here. When you press it, you are actually hearing a click. So now we're looking at the cover piece that has the actual buttons built into it, and what I'm seeing is tabs that are broken, and that's what's going to carry the button through to make contact with the user interface. Alright, and you can see here that this is supposed to be attached to the actual mounting plate here with all the rest of the buttons, and this is actually snapped off. So this whole console piece will have to be replaced unless we can get just this plastic housing separately. Okay, well, unfortunately you can't just get this plastic inner piece here. What we're going to have to order is the entire console assembly, which will be this whole piece here. And once we get that in, you know, we're just going to remove the user interface and transfer that over to the new console, and that will take care of the repair. Once that button comes up and completes the circuit, that should take care of the problem for us. Okay, now we're just going to reassemble for the time being until we get the new part in. Going to lock it in along the back first. So to lift it up, you got to kind of push the stem of the knob just a little bit to get it to go through the front there. Push along the base here, along the front edge, and that'll lock it down in. And unfortunately, even with taking it out and kind of setting the button back in place, it's still not making the contact right, so it's not going to be usable until we get the new console. Go ahead and flip it around, hook our connector back into the MCU. We've got our cover. Snap that back down. And then just put our screws in, put our knob back on. We do have a couple, we got the 3 screws along the front there that we need to go back in. You always just keep your screws in one container. If you have some left over, then you know that you forgot something. So we got our screws back in. Set it up front of the lip first. Roll it over and lock it into place. Once you get it back together, just do a quick check the operation. Make sure everything that worked originally is still working. Still powers up, still goes back and forth, but that start button's still not working. So once we replace the actual console, we'll be back in operation. Thank you for watching another quality video from ApplianceVideo.com.